Bienvenidos y gracias por asistir a la charla de hoy. This lecture features the authors of Elementype, which is a practical guide to typographic use. The authors are Sandra Garcia, Daphne Martinez, and Monica Munguia. They're all from Mexico. And this book describes the fundamentals of typography, which can sometimes be obtuse, in clear and understandable language. Monica wished to underscore that a main goal of their book, Elementype, was to demystify typography and provide an accessible option for Spanish speakers. They also all had a vision of building a type foundry led by women. So they created Tipastype together. And Sandra and Daphne continue to work as Tipastype, while Monica has branched off with her own Momutype foundry. So without further ado, let's welcome Daphne, Monica, and Sandra.
Yay!
Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Nice to
hello. Yeah, nice to meet you all. And although we can see you, but hope to see you someday. Sandra, start to share the.
Okay, we are going to start right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a second, please. Pull this stuff. Share sound. I have to do this again. Share sound. Okay, this is great.
Yeah. Just put
Give me
on.
a second.
Yeah.
I need to do this.
Hide everything. Yeah. That's it.
I just a little here, and yeah, let's going to start.
Okay, let's start. Hello, everyone, again. Welcome to this lecture about a book intended for typographic use. And first of all, we want to thank the Letterform Archive and the San Francisco Public Library for opening this space for us. We are very excited to be here. As Grendel told you, we are together a Mexican-Colombian design studio called Tipastype. As an introduction, we would like to begin talking a little bit about us and our project so you can know us better and understand how and why we decided to realize Elementype, the book that we're going to talk about later. So let's get started. What is Tipastype? As I mentioned before, we are a design studio that focused on design with typography. We have made books and magazines, but mostly we have done a lot of brochures. What we love about this kind of work is that no matter what kind of information we have, we can make a concept and take it to the whole publication. Sometimes the themes are not very likely, not very lovely, and sometimes they are even disgusting or scary. You see, we work a lot with NGOs, and a lot of the content is about emergencies and diseases and very technical information that may look so boring at first sight. But our work is to make those boring themes or information into something easy to read, something likely, and in a way enjoyable. And of course, to make it readable, because that is the main goal of an editorial designer. It is always a challenge, but it also makes our days very exciting and funny. To make the concept is just the tip of the iceberg to the reading experience, but it's an introduction, something that is gonna seduce the reader and convince him to take a look in the inner pages. So when we design the inner pages, we of course continue this visual concept from the cover, but at the same time, we have to create a system where the information lays down in different hierarchies and levels. And here we make the layout design, an adequate typeface selection, and some micro typographic decisions that will make it look great and let the reader perceive the information in an easygoing way. For example, the last two images that you have seen are from the project, The Unequal Burden of the Pandemic. For this proposal, the concept is based on inequality interpreted as imbalance. We represent this concept graphically with a geometric composition that shows a series of circles, meaning the load that falls and agglomerate the lower right part of the cover, generating a sensation of movement and dynamism, and at the same time creating the sensation of imbalance with the upper left corner where there is less load. Regarding the inner pages, as you could see, we proposed a single column and a lateral column to integrate the figure, captions, and footnotes. So information is important and you need to put it in the right place. As well, we make these separators that are graphically integrated with the cover proposal.
Okay, continue with the editorial design. We have here an example called School Held in Latin America and the Caribbean questionnaire. This project consists of a two-phase campaign that involves 4 publication surveys to collect information on the state of school health in different regions of the world. They covered the idea of survey and the collection of information into a simpler concept of question and answers. From there, we developed the graphic proposal. It consists of a series of 4 strong and geometric icons that symbolize some boxes or blank spaces where the answers are marked in a survey. These elements make up the main image, are also used on the smaller scale, repeatedly with the publications. Each publication of the series has been assigned an icon. It is shown resolved on its cover, representing the answers, and unresolved at the close of the publications, representing the questions. In this way, we address the duality of the process of a survey. So another job we do is, in the other hand, we also develop custom and retail typeface design. We both have a master in typeface design, and this is our main passion, or at least one of our main passions. And here we have a couple of projects that we would like to show you. This is one called Actually, and it's a typeface for short reader text, which may help in the process of learning to read. This is a personal project that we have developed from a field study we made about the typefaces used in educational books from learning to read, created by the Ministry of Education in Mexico. In February of 2021, we got a residence by the Hofmitz-Milken Typographic Center, thanks to whom we were able to develop the project. In this typeface, we propose to include some differentiating features in a controlled way that may help the reader to better recognize the characters at first sight. And still is a project undeveloped, but we have planned to make an extended family with two variation of weights, and it's italics, an extended character set for pan-European languages, and substitution game to learn to read and write. Let me introduce you to a very, very short and explanatory video about this last part. So where is video? I think it's here. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Actually Didactic. I'm a font game created for those who are starting to learn how to read and write. Actually Didactic is very simple to use. Just install the font in your operating system, select it from the font panel in your word processing software, and you can start using it. If the word is correctly written, a picture will pop out when you tap the spacebar. Actually is programmed in English and Spanish, but very soon it will have support in many languages. The font's programming allows the game to work with initial capital letter, lowercase, and all capitals, contributing to their comprehension, identification, and correct use in the writing system.
This is a work in progress, but we are very proud about this opportunity and this long project. So, but we also have custom typefaces like this one here. It's called Especial, meaning special. We were commissioned to design a custom font for the communication of a brief digital activation for a brand of beer called Modelo. Thus was born Especial, a calligraphic font inspired by the copperplate style, whose development followed from the original logo brand. Has a basic set to cover Spanish and English, and a series of alternative glyphs that embellish the writing and vary as you type. We think it looks really beautiful. The client was very satisfied, and so do we. If you want to check these projects and other that we have realized, we invite you to go to our Behance profile. You can find us as Tipastype. And enough from typeface design for now. So
yeah, but Tipastype is much more than that. We are also an educational project. Maybe that makes sound a little weird combination, but for us makes a lot of sense. We have this virtual space created to promote female work in typographic field and spread knowledge on related topics. For this, we have implemented from the very start an educational strategy that includes posts on social networks, face-to-face and virtual talks, conferences, workshops, and the book that we'll talk about later. This little community that we have built over the years on Facebook and Instagram fits mainly from two kinds of content. The first is called La Tipa de la Semana, something like the Lady of the Week, and it is about reviews of prominent contemporary women in the field of typography, whether they are researchers, teachers, typeface engineers, programmers, letter artists, or typeface designers. The selection criteria tries to include mainly Latin American women, although it also includes women from all over the world. This initiative arises from the fallacy in the typography field. There are almost no women, a recurring idea that we had when exploring the outstanding names that history tends to throw at us, not only in the area of typography and printing, but in almost all social feeds. Of course, that could not be further away from the truth. During the 4 years that we have been generating this content, we have talked about more than 100 outstanding women with high academic degrees, deep levels of specialization, transcendental projects, and high-ranking jobs. Furthermore, the resource of information seems to be inexhaustible. La Tipa de la Semana is very popular, mainly among female readers, and has generated great reactions of unity and empowerment as a gender. Our readers are often encouraged to specialize in this area and to admire the work of their peers. So we think this kind of content is a great success.
The second type of content that we work on is Elemental, mi querido Watson, elementary, my dear Watson. These are posts about typography, letter drawing, and typographic use. In each post, we address a particular topic and develop it graphically with simple and direct languages. The success of this publication has expanded to an audience that includes not only graphic designers, students, and professionals, but has also reached copywriters, correctors, teachers, and the public in general. They have provoked passionate discussion on the network and very satisfying comments. Its virtue consists in bringing the common user closer to topics that tend to seem distant and too complex, and making them digestible and enjoyable to learn. And precisely, we decide to make this type of content aiming to democratize knowledge in order to create more prepared users who know how to use and tap the full potential of typography, and therefore the value of the marvelous tool with which they work every day, increase the quality of their products and demanding better market conditions. So all these efforts naturally led to a printed publications, Elementype, a practical guide to typographic use, Elementype, una guía práctica del uso tipográfico, which is the subject for which we are here today. I am going to share with you a very small informative video.
Elementype, a practical guide to typographic use. It is a quick and efficient reference book which facilitates the learning of complex content through agile and clear graphics and short but deep texts to allow the user to tap the full potential of fonts.
As you could see, the book addresses issues of typographic use with simple graphics and short but forceful text, letting not only students or professionals of graphic design, but also non-professional typography users to easily know the wide range of possibilities offered by typographic fonts.
Okay, the first idea that took us here was to bring the common user closer to typography. That is something that we have mentioned a lot today. This became one of our main goals with this book, and that was a need that we found working as typeface designers. And because we are very curious, let's take a look at some hard data. Here we have the annual My Font Survey 2020, conducted by Mary Catherine Proch, and they have some really interesting highlights. We can see on the consumers of typography that 42% are graphic designers, 11% are creative directors, 23% are other kinds of users, 8% are business owners, another 8% are art directors, and 9% are hobbyists. If we do some maths, we can realize that the 61%, meaning graphic designers, creative directors, and art directors, are probably people who have some kind of knowledge about typography. But the other 39%, yes, is a very high rate of consumers, are common users that don't necessarily have any kind of knowledge about how to use fonts or how to take advantage of them. I repeat, it's a very large percent, so I think it is worrying and something to think about. On the other hand, we can see how the industries are concerned. The industries that consume the most are in first place, advertising and marketing with 37%. Then again, from these, some of them must be graphic designers, art directors, or creative directors with some kind of knowledge about typography. But there are other industries like education and entertainment, nonprofit, tech and internet, retail, and even unemployed ones. We are not sure about them, but they belong to a spectrum of consumers who, again, maybe do not have the knowledge of how to use typography. And this time, they represent the 65%. Thanks to this data, we conclude that really there is a large part of the population consuming and using fonts, but they do not have the professional knowledge that a creative director, a designer, or an art director can have regarding how to use fonts and exploit its potential. So we care about this sector, and we think we need to generate material that helps this user to better understand fonts and to know how to take advantage of them. And in this way, they can give them the value they have. They can understand why the fonts cost what they cost, and also understand the spectrum of possibilities and options that they have to acquire these kind of tools and work with them legally and professionally. So this is why we are very interested in the common user.
So we really believe that education is the key. We conclude that we need to generate bibliography and didactic material, but not only the heavy one with many highlighted specialized terms and long and complex texts to which we are accustomed. I think that many times typography is seen as a very complex area in which you have to study too much and in which not everyone can easily access. But we think that we can make this knowledge more accessible to people very new to the subject. We also believe that we must change the teaching method to make more didactic material with explanatory graphic and short but concise text to better explain concepts that may seem difficult, right? And of course, these materials should be intended for the common user. And finally, at least but not less, especially here in Latin America, we needed to be in Spanish. We need to develop books and material in Spanish. Most of times we just have a lot of translated book, but yeah, it's important to have books in Spanish. Those were the three premises with which we began to plan this project. So.
Okay, now I would like to talk a little about how this book works. We start thinking, what is the main doubt that exists when you're going to start a project and you need to use a font? We have discussed it with friends and with some colleagues, and we believe that even for the graphic design student or the beginning graphic designers, the big questions is always, how do I choose a font? The advice we can give you is simple and complex, and at the same time, but we are going to explain it right now. That advice is simple: read between the lines. And how do I do that? Okay, we are going to start to know our project. Let's do a little exercise in which we are going to explain to you how the book is going to work, and you will be able to answer by yourself this big question. We began asking something basic like, which is my project? Yeah, let's imagine a story case, a fashion magazine which will be published in Spain, France, and United States. And here is when I'm going to start to read between the lines. I can see this term here, magazine or fashion magazine. That tells me the kind and extension of text that probably I will have to work with. Surely it's not going to be too long because it's not a novel, and it will have several hierarchies, and that is because that's the kind of text that a magazine has. Now, here in Elementype comes into play. We have a section called types of fonts, and a subject, fonts for text. And this kind of fonts are developed to be used in sizes less than 14. Why we are mentioning fonts for text? Because that's the kind of font that you're going to need for the main body of your magazine. Okay, their formal characteristics make them ideal for continuous immersive reading. Their aesthetics and formal qualities allow fluent reading. There are different technical considerations to establish which typeface works correctly for immersive reading. Generally, they must respond to certain spelling standards and editorial design needs for their selection. It is possible to speak of a typographic family unless rather than just a font. It must surely at least need a regular, a cursive, or a bold one to have hierarchies, and you can highlight some words too. Out there are many families that allow you to comply with these forms and provide the text with a better presentation and hierarchy. And in Elementype, we explain you which characteristics they must have. Okay, but what else can I ask to get information? Okay, now I can highlight Spain, France, and USA. And this tells me that I need a font to cover languages of these countries. That means that I need to look up for necessary diacritics, like the acute and the tilde for Spanish or cedilla for French, and also some special punctuation marks. As you may know, there are a lot of other signs in a typeface that are not just the lower and the uppercase letters, but a full range of numbers with different uses, a lot of punctuation marks, different diacritics to cover all the languages that uses Roman alphabet, and also other letters that cover other scripts like Arabic or Cyrillic, among many, many others. Here we can see the diaresis, for example, and now, next one, please. Yeah. Okay, well, these both pages are from a special section where we talk about what else you could find in a font to give you an idea of what kind of necessities you could cover. In this example, we are looking at two different sets of figures, align and proportionals. And this type of information will help you, for example, if you are going to make a math book or a financial report. So in that case, you should choose a font with aligned numbers so that you can easily construct tables and mathematical operations.
Okay, another question for my imaginary project could be, who is my reader? So, women and men, to 20 to 55 years old. Let's say that women and men between women and men in the middle to upper economic class are interested in fashion and beauty. What can I read here between the lines? So, well, I can highlight from 20 to 55 years old. The age tell me about the font size. I will need, and if my readers may have some visual problems, for example. So now I know that maybe I could not use a very small size of typography because my range of age is extensive, but maybe also I will need a big X height to make it more visible. So here in Elementype, we show you a lot of subjects on this section to observe the letters that make a zoom in. We make a zoom in and let you know which characteristics they must have to help you with problems like tired seeing in this case. As you can see, here we are talking about the different heights in the fonts. This topic is important because this small decision about the heights influence the quality, legibility, and color of the text. And here we talk about the X height, that characteristics define aspect of readability and type selection. And finally, here you can see a graphic about the counterforms, which is useful to define the shape of the letters. This parameter is important to space the letter between the words. So, continue with my imaginary project. Who is my reader? Yeah. Now let's get back to the information about our reader. We also can highlight their interest in fashion and beauty. Now let's get back to information about the readers. We also highlight their interest in that will be, let's know that probably they have a fancy and elegant taste that lets me think my font needs to reflect that approach. Here I am talking about maybe display font, something for heads and subheads, very thin or bold, large, maybe a very classic font with high contrast, but that is just an idea, okay? And again, Elementype have a special section to talk about display fonts and how they work. Display fonts are used in large sizes. They are designed to be seen, to be striking. At times, they are even applied sacrificing legibility. Its main function is to attract attention. Sometimes they are eccentric or ostentatious. For this reason, they are perfect for short text where the reading is brief. Therefore, these same characteristics make them poor candidates for reading long and running text, but they are ideal for displaying attention, making advertisement, logos, packaging, headers, and headlines. I may also need to understand what are the serif or the sans serif fonts, what it is, and in the weight and what is the weight, what is needed for. And I may need to understand its application in text hierarchies. For example, Elementype helps you here to know not only what these terms mean, but also how to use them for your own convenience.
Okay, finally, talking again about our imaginary project, I may ask, which is my output? In this case, we can say that it could be a print publication. So we could have a A4 format, pretty common, printed in offset, color for prefer with a high quality paper, maybe a coated matte paper. Here I can highlight first the format. This would let me put on a lot of information. It will, of course, depend on the layout I will propose, but maybe I should not worry too much about to save a lot of space, so I won't need a condensed font. I have an idea there. Then I can highlight the print method and the quality of paper. These kind of materials will let me use, for example, fonts with a lot of contrast if I wanted to, because they won't break up as in a cheap paper or in a handmade paper. Here again, next one, yeah. We can observe these letter characteristics. They might be new, but on Elementypes we can find what it is and how the characteristics in the font can affect your text. Here we can see contrast, and now we can see condensed and extended. That will allow you to solve space problems or change the voice and look of your hierarchies. With these 3 simple questions that we have made, we have finished having a complete overview of our problem. So returning to our imaginary project, and now we have an idea of its needs. And if we read the book, we can know what characteristics a font must have to meet these needs. Now is the time to go and find a font that covers these characteristics. This is where a new question arises. Where can I get new fonts? And Sandra is going to explain you that now.
Okay, where do I get new fonts? Okay, of course you can go and review your computer font library, looking for this characteristic, you know, you need, but if you want or need something different, where do you go? Fortunately, we also provide in the book 3 things that may help you with that. The first one, we have a compendium of all the fonts used on the book. As you already know, we have a lot of explanatory graphics. Well, on purpose, we try to make each one of them with a different font. So at the end, we have a beautiful catalog of 52 fonts with a very different characteristics from which you will already know its possible use. In the last pages, we tell you its name, author, and where to get them. Nice. Okay. Okay, but that is not enough, of course. We are also very concerned about you to know which possibilities you have to buy, rent, or get the fonts for free use. Be aware here, it's not the same a pirate font that a free font, that a free use font. The first one is illegal and unfair to those who produce that font, while the second one have been already paid by a big company, for example, Google Fonts, or they are personal projects by typeface designers that decide to give them away for no charge, like a way to promote the work, like a non-profit charity project, or just because they believe in the free culture movement. This kind of information as well as which are the benefits and limitations that you get when you purchase, rent, or download a font are intended in a document named license. In Elementype, we give you an introduction to let you know how it works in different distributors and platforms, so you could get the best font for your project and budget and could use it with no legal problem. Fine. I think we are finished with the content by now and with the little imaginary exercise to choose a font. As you may have seen, there are a lot of data that interconnects to help you navigate the typography world. So to summarize, we can say, in general idea, we concentrate on zooming in on the letters and explaining their characteristics, and then observing what is inside the fonts in addition to letters. And then we talk about the different type of fonts that there are. We do not talk about a typographic classification, but an explanation about their most common uses and what characteristics they must have to function well in those uses. We can see that we covered, for example, with fonts, we saw that we talk about fonts for text, display ones, but we also include variable fonts. Finally, we also talk about the letter in action in terms of microtypography adjustments, use of Opentype, interlining, tracking, and kerning, some tricks to make your text look better. This is how Elementype is organized in such a way that it is agile and efficient to consult to facilitate the understanding and learning of complex concepts about typefaces.
Yeah, well, now I would like to tell you a little bit of the process we made to develop this book. We think it could be interesting because it was an auto-edition exercise. It was written and produced by us, Sandra and Daphne, but also by Monica Munguia, who accompanies us today. As you could see, if you want to ask something to her at the end of the talk, that would be great. Okay, the idea comes from the very first post we made from Elemental, my dear Watson, and the premises to reach the common user and to make it appealing and easy. With this in mind, we started to write a design of our book. The first material came from the post that we have mentioned earlier, but when we had to create a concept for the whole book and adjust and rewrite most of the post, write new topics, improve the graphics that we have already, and make new ones too. It was a different process because of our own experience as editorial designers. We were able to design and write publication at the same time. It was something good. Sometimes we cheat a little bit, adjusting and changing text to suit the design when it was necessary. At this point in the process, we found a call to a workshop for editorial production, Fábrica de Producción Editorial. It's something like editorial production factory. And the time was fantastic. The timing was fantastic because it was just in the middle of our process. And we were lucky to be selected to participate in it. This helped us a lot because we received feedback, support, and follow-up of the project by professionals in different areas, mainly in those that we didn't have much experience, like planning, budget, project management, and distribution. I would like to tell you a little story here. In this course, they taught us to make a wide budget during the planning in order to get more money for any inconvenience. Thanks God we did it. That was very, very helpful during the print because when we asked for an economical proposal at the very start of the project, we specified a paperweight that we thought would work very well, based, of course, on our own experience. However, because the book has many pages with full color, followed by pages with a white background, we received the print proof, and oh surprise, the color showed through on white pages, and frankly, it looked horrible. For this reason, we asked the printer to change the paper for one of higher grammage to prevent this catastrophe from happening. However, the second surprise was that this small change meant to increase the printing cost of almost the double. Thanks God to the loose budget, we were able to do it, but we have to sacrifice an element that we had planned from the beginning and that made us very happy, and that was a die on the cover. So it is a sad story with a semi-happy ending, but these are the kinds of experience that we live and that taught us so much.
Okay, so by the end of this course, we also received the happy news of having been selected by the Ministry of Culture of Mexico as the recipients of a scholarship with which we could pay for the printing of the book. We don't have money, but now we have money. It is a highly requested scholarship that benefits artists from different disciplines such as dance, video, performance, theater, writing, and graphic design. So spots are highly valued. I think that we were very lucky and that our project was selected mainly because it is a specialized bibliography in Spanish and produced in the country, and that was very important for the Ministry of Culture. So that is how we could pay for the print. And of course, it also implied adding a follow-up and presentation of the project to the pertinent authorities. The experience was very rich since we learned about various areas involved in publishing a book and not only graphic design.
Yeah, ready. Next one, please. Okay, but we did not do it all alone. We also had some collaborators who helped us to make this book a better publication. First, we had the help of Laura Meseguer, the beloved and admired Spanish type designer who contributed drafting a foreword for the book. We got in touch with her and told her about the project and sent her a summary, and she gladly accepted. We are very pleased with that. And she shared with us her beautiful words. It was very important for us that the writer of this preface would be a woman, typeface designer, and native Spanish speaker. So we thought of her right away because we also were fans of her work. So nice. On the other hand, we have the reviews of two colleagues that we know in Mexico. One is Javier Alcaraz, an Argentinian typographer who now resides in Spain, and Jesus Barrientos, a fellow type designer and university teacher. Both Javier and Jesus reviewed the book, and we placed them on the back cover. Finally, we must mention the collaboration of Cristobal Enestrosa as a style corrector, and even more so as an edition corrector. His work and support not only allow the book to be as well written as possible, rather he took care that every terminology was explained with simplicity, allowing it become a self-explanatory book. Cristobal, he is a fellow typeface designer and editorial designer too, and at one point he was also a teacher, so we are very grateful to him. Thank you. Okay, now there is a special mention about the typeface we selected to design the whole publication. We decided to choose a font designed by a woman because of her own background and to make sense with all this project that we have told you. The chosen one was Scholar Sans. Scholar was designed by David Bresina and Slava Yechinova. Sorry if I can't pronounce that correctly. Published by Rosetta Type Foundry. We got this font from Adobe Fonts, and that's something we want to mention. Adobe Fonts is a service that worked very well for the project because we were able to pick a lot of the fonts we used to make the examples of the book, although not every example, of course. But this service is included with the rental of the Creative Cloud, so it was very helpful for us to create this book. Scholar is a sans serif family with 72 fonts from gently thin to extra bold, and it's italics, of course. It has a wide character set that allows us to cover all the necessities required by the book, like small caps, all-style numbers, Spanish diacritics, among many others. This is a very special selection because this was a special publication that talks about many typographic features. And of course, we needed a typeface that covers all of them. We also required to be sans and friendly because of the personality of the publication. So the winner for us was Scholar Sans.
So I'm going to talk about the cover. Now we want to give some minutes to this idea of this cover. Based on the first idea that we had for it, to create an image just with typography, typing the name of the book, we decide to design a typeface, playing with the idea of something basic or elemental as the book, and it must work well on a die because the original idea was to have a die cover. Sadly, it didn't happen at the end of the budget. There's reasons, as Daphne told you before. So, but Monica designed this really cool and basic font that we use on the cover. And if you recognize it in some of the communication of the presentation, it is a sans serif font, monospace, with a lot of playful flavor. Monica designed a basic set to cover Spanish and English languages. It includes number and the emojis we use all along the publication to keep the same friendly language that we use on social media. At the end, we decide not to leave the font just in the cover, but to take advantage of it, give it away when you buy the book.
Okay, now finally in 2019, Elementype was finally launched. And at Tipastype, we focus on presenting it on a tour of many design schools within Mexico, and a little tour to Medellin and Bogota, two of the main cities of Colombia. We also were planning to go to other important cities in Latin America when the pandemic started, so we had to stop. We are very happy with the results of the acceptance that the book has had. Teachers and students were very interested in acquiring the book, and we were even able to place it in the libraries of the schools we visited. So I think it has been very satisfying experience. Okay, as we mentioned before, the relevance of the publication lies not only in its contents, but in that is and specialized bibliography in Spanish, since there are a lot of books about typography, but not so much in our language. And not so much for the common user. So I guess that is why people are very interested in it. Recapping a little bit, the pandemic came in and we had to stop the tours. Actually, we almost got stuck in Colombia because they closed the flights, but we barely got to fly back home. And given the situation, we have to change the strategy and we have arranged the logistics to distribute through our website with payment via PayPal and worldwide shipment. With what fortunately this year we have been able to reach corners of the world that we have not imagined. Actually, last week, I think, we sent a book to Finland. So wow, we are very impressed with that. And now we continue our efforts to distribute this publication on online platforms. And here you can see the link. Is www.tipastype.com/Elementype. If you're interested.
You're welcome.
Yeah, yeah, you're welcome.
Finally, we would like to make a little advertisement right now. So I'm going to run a little video. So we will be giving an online workshop on microtypography as part of the TypeQuest public workshops from Wednesday, July 21 to Thursday, August 11. We will spend 4 evenings building confidence in typographic details at paragraph level to make text readable and engaging. This workshop will introduce methods for improving the appearance of text to give users the best possible reading experience. It's a hand-on workshop full of practical exercise, and we still have some spots available. So if you are interested, please go for more information and register at the link here, letterformarchive.org/events. And thank you so much for now. That's all for now. Thank you so much for your attention. Here we have our contact information in case you want to talk with us about anything. And if you have any questions, this is a good moment to make them. And finally, we want to share with you a playlist to enjoy Elementype, typography list full of reference to typefaces, numbers, parts of the letters, or just music to give you some good vibes. So thank you so much for being here, and yeah, thank you for being here. Stop, sure.
Yeah.
Woo! Thank you
We
so
got
much. Enhorabuena, chicas. Mil gracias. We have a bunch of questions, and I would like to remind everybody to please drop your questions for the panelists in the chat, in the Q&A, sorry. So empezamos. We have the top voted question. Also, you can upvote questions that you would really like to see answered in case we get so many questions that we can't pack them all in. We have a question from Stephen Coles of Letterform Archive, who says he loves the Women in Type project, but wants to know, do you host the content somewhere other than social media? Instagram is a great way to spread the word, but it's such an extensive resource that you have built that he would love to see it on a website where it's searchable and archivable.
Something like the Fonty News or something like that.
Yeah.
Fonty News is an amazing project. I really love that project. It's super useful, by the way.
I think it's a great idea. Of course, it's a lot of more work, but yeah, that could be a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. We could do that in our website. Why not? At the beginning of the project, we want to do that. Do you remember?
Yeah.
it's a lot of work, Steve. But we can do that. It's a very good idea. We can have some kind of library of the
or a blog or something like that.
yeah, or blog. That's a very good idea. Thank you so much.
So we should just check your website for updates for a blog, right? Is that what I'm hearing? Woo.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, it's not yet a promise, but we'll try. Yeah.
I think it's a promise.
Okay.
Have fun.
Okay, we have another question that actually several people have asked. Mary Lou and Lila Mesha, and sorry if I ruined your name, Lila, says the book is beautiful. Does it come in English?
Not yet.
Not
Yeah.
yet. We don't have editor.
Yeah,
But-
if there is someone who's interested right now, you can open the opportunity to us and we won't be ashamed about it. Yeah.
and talk about
Yeah.
Monica, did you have something to say? I see looked like you wanted to talk.
No, it's all of the comments of Sandra Daphne.
Estupendo. Gracias, Monica.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're looking for a publisher in English. Is that what I hear?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put that down in
Hey.
case anyone with a little extra cash wants to help you out, because it is a beautiful book. I can assure you of that. Publisher. Okay, next question. We have a question from Tamara Segura, who is one of our Type West students this year. And Tamara,
Yeah, we know her.
oh,
Yeah.
you know Tamara. Okay,
Yeah,
so
hi Tamara.
It's
Yeah.
not
basically you're-
Type Cooper condense right now, no? Yeah.
she's at Type West right now.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
And Tamara asked, what was the main inspiration behind the cover font?
I don't know. One day we are in the office and we start develop sketches, and is the main idea was that try to have just typeface in the cover because it's Elementype. So
And it's about yes, and it's about
maybe
of letters, so we have to put some letters, and I don't know, maybe Monica had some
another.
ideas about the typeface because she made it. Yeah.
You know, I have the first our first sketch. This is on laser print.
Yeah, sure.
The first colors that were green and violet, but when we taste, can you see? I can't. It's impossible in yellow. So
Yeah, that's why we
Just like,
changed the color. Yeah.
looks beautiful in cover, but doesn't work for the reader. So we taste another colors and develop the orange with purple, because purple is our brand color.
Our corporative color, yes.
Corporative color, yeah. So
Something I can say about the cover is that I test the design and find that not the best way, and I realize that I need to remove and do the Elementype text like a brand, and in that way I need to be more contundent, and I remove all the text, all the control forms for the impact of the people to can look a good title in the book.
yeah, that's true. When Monica developed the typeface from the idea of the design, we start with a typeface from Type, but doesn't work for what we want. So in that moment, we talk and Monica developed this without counters. The
Yeah,
typeface.
I think it's elemental and it's simple, it's basic, and that's what makes it great, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, match with the name of the book.
Yeah.
Perfecto. And I wanted to say, podéis contestar en castellano si queréis. En español está bien. Somos en California y
Perfecto.
50% de la población habla español. Así que si sea mejor explicarlo en castellano, hazlo, okay? Just saying that we can do a little Spanish too if you wish. So, okay, let's do another. But thank you for that explanation. That was perfect. We have a question from Dominic, and remember, keep dropping those questions in the Q&A, people. Dominic Crew asks, when you mention that you need to know who your reader is, how important is it to consider their expectations for an item?
For me personally, for me it's very important. I'm a teacher. I have more than 10 years of as a teacher in different universities here in Mexico, in Colombia, etc. So every time I try to explain this, or every time I'm confronted with the students or the users, they don't know how to use that typography. So from the beginning, for me, it's super important, because the typographers, they may make a lot of effort, develop beautiful and very techy typefaces, and at the end, nobody knows how to use a typeface. So what we have variable fonts, and nobody knows what is that. So we need a very prepared user. As a typographers, is our part of our main. For me, I'm clear, it's for me. But as a typeface, typographers, we need to give some education to our final user, to them, para que ellos las usen como quieren, como las necesitan, ¿no? Y aprovecharlas al máximo, take a full advantage of our typeface. So yeah, that's it's for us too. It's a very important subject, thinking in the user, in the final user, you know. Yeah.
Excellent response. We have a question from David Jones, who wants to know, can I buy 2 or more copies of the book?
Sure, as many as you want.
Does not see the option on the website.
Okay, you can write us, and we can make that order. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Yo también quería mencionar. También quería mencionar que tengo un stock en Estados Unidos por si necesitan no pagar envío. También hay, pues me pueden escribir y sin problema.
Okay, so
Great. Many possibilities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Monica says that she has a stash in the US that she can get those to you, and that will reduce your shipping costs if you're looking for those. So the Tipastype say write to them, and they will hook you up with as many books as you need. Okay. Thank you so much. That's great to hear. And we also have an anonymous attendee who asks, do you ever experiment with risograph printing? It seems like a great way to play with type and print.
No, never. I have an idea about how it works, but I have never experienced it. It's sad, but no.
I print some things in Medellin. It's a beautiful technique, and they give you such beautiful texture. But for this book especially, we don't do that. But yeah, if the question is I'm experimenting with that, yes. The answer is, for me, Yes.
How about you, Monica? You too? Have you used Riso?
Yes, realicé la venta de unos, pues lancé una nueva fuente y me hicieron unos cuadernitos en rizo y sí deja unas texturas formidables. La verdad es muy buena opción, sobre todo también en costos.
Okay, gracias. Let's see. It seems like something more for art prints and maybe not for a production book, but you know, it's cool. Good question.
Yeah.
And then we have the other, Mary Lou, the question was already answered. So she asked if the book comes in English. So obviously there's a lot of desire for this very simple and easily understood book to be printed in multiple languages, not just the Spanish, but I think that is an obvious start. But maybe English, maybe some other languages too, huh?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Well, no.
Nobody wants this book in Chinese.
One can dream, right? Okay. Any other questions for Sandra and Monica and Daphne before we sign off? Okay. Bueno, muchas gracias, mujeres. Mil gracias. Enhorabuena por la presentación. Thank you so much for this amazing presentation, Daphne, Sandra, y Monica. And people, check the links to find out where you can pick up a copy of Elementype and where you can sign up for our workshops at Letterform Archive and our upcoming lectures. So once again, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
And enjoy our playlist in Spotify. Tell us about what do you think about our selection? We have songs like one of YouTube. So thank you so much. Really, really appreciate this opportunity.
Fantastic. Any last words before we sign off?
Oh, no, see you. Have a nice day.
Bye.